Special Operations Forces of Ukraine shared footage of the destruction of enemy logistics facilities in the temporarily occupied Crimean Peninsula on the night of November 6. It was reported that the previous night, Special Operations Forces struck the Gvardeyskaya oil depot near the village of Gvardeysk, Crimea. An RVS 400 tank was destroyed. It was full at the time of the strike. At the same time, in the same area, 2 trains carrying tank cars were struck at a loading and unloading ramp. At the time of the strike, the rolling stock was loaded with petroleum products. It was also reported that special operations drones struck several oil depots and fuel storage facilities in Simferopol and the surrounding area, as well as the village of Bitumnoye. Tank farm facilities were destroyed. Multiple fires were recorded. On November 6, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported the defeat of important facilities of the Russian occupiers. It is noted that on the night of November 5, Special Operations Forces struck the Volgograd oil refinery in the Volgograd region of Russia. The refinery's annual oil refining capacity is reported to be 15.7 million tons. Explosions and a fire were recorded in the target area. The Special Operations Forces noted that the last time long-range Special Forces drones reached the Volgograd oil refinery was on September 18, after which the refinery suspended operations. The General Staff also confirmed the destruction of a Shahid UAV storage, assembly, and launch base in temporarily occupied Donetsk. According to objective monitoring, explosions and a powerful secondary detonation were recorded at the facility. In addition, 3 fuel and lubricant facilities were hit in the temporarily occupied Autonomous Republic of Crimea to reduce the enemy's logistical capabilities. At the oil depot in Gvardeyskaya, a successful hit was recorded on a fuel storage tank and fuel and lubricants tankers at a loading dock. Tank farms were hit at 2 fuel and lubricants depots in Simferopol. Fires were detected in the fuel tanks. Rebels from the Freedom of Russia movement, a Ukraine-based paramilitary unit, have burned dozens of locomotives on Russian territory. Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, known as HUR, reported this in its statement. The attacks targeted a train used to transport weapons, ammunition, and equipment for the war in Ukraine. Video footage showing the paramilitary unit setting fire to locomotives has been shared in social media platforms. The incendiary cocktails of the partisans scorched the control and power systems of dozens of machines responsible for moving military cargo, HUR reported. Such strikes have significantly slowed the movement of Russian resources and affected the stability of supply to Russian units. Formed in March 2022 by Russian citizens who are against Putin's war of invasion in Ukraine, Freedom of Russia rebels have engaged in a number of operations on Russian strategic facilities. The attack on locomotives comes amid Ukraine's intensified strikes on Russia's military and strategic facilities aimed at weakening Russia's war efforts. On Sunday, Ukrainian forces struck Twop's refinery, Russia's largest oil facility in the Black Sea, causing the suspension of the facility's crude processing. The situation remains tense in the contact line that stretches nearly 1,250 kilometers, having grown by roughly 200 kilometers over the past year. Ukraine's drone attack on Tuapse refinery, Russia's largest oil facility in the Black Sea on November 2, ignited large fires and forced the suspension of both crude processing and fuel exports, a move Kiev describes as part of its campaign to undermine Moscow's war economy. Reuters has reported that the refinery, which is controlled by state-controlled Rosneft company and exports most of its output, has halted operations the following day after sustaining damage to port infrastructure. Neither Rosneft nor Russia's port authority has issued statements, but reports confirm that an overnight drone attack caused major fires and damaged an oil tanker. Before the incident, Tuapse had been set to increase fuel product exports in November, with 3 tankers loading naphtha, diesel, and fuel oil when the strike occurred. By midweek, all vessels had been moved offshore for safety. Independent Russian outlet Astra reported at least 3 fires, including at the RNC terminal's deep-water complex and the oil-loading berth near the southern mole. Local officials confirmed the damage, saying a drone crash caused debris to hit a tanker and start a fire that spread to nearby terminal facilities. A source in Ukraine's security service, known as SBU, told the Kyiv Post that the operation was carried out by the agency's Alpha Special Operations Center jointly with other military units, using 5 drones that struck a tanker, destroyed 4 loading stands, and damaged several port installations. Located in Russia's Krasnodar region, Tuapse has become a regular target in Ukraine's long-range campaign against Russian energy infrastructure. The Rosneft refinery processes 12 million tons of crude per year, producing gasoline, diesel, and fuel oil largely destined for export to China, Malaysia, Singapore, and Turkey. It has faced multiple attacks this year, including a naval drone strike in September aimed at disrupting Russia's shadow oil exports, as well as earlier incidents in July and March. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, these strikes have undermined Russia's refining and fuel production capacity by roughly 20 to 27%, leading to shortages and long lines at gas stations. Several refineries have been forced offline, pushing Moscow to reroute production. Zelensky added that most long-range attacks inside Russia now rely on domestically produced weapons, with only limited use of Western-supplied Storm Shadow and Scalp missiles, and vowed that such operations will continue to pressure the Kremlin's war economy.